Hey everyone, it's Matt with EquiPredict.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. In this video, we're going to be covering in a relatively short period of time 5 separate forecasts for SQQQ and those who are short the Nasdaq at the present time. And again, if you're enjoying some of the content we're providing, please do subscribe to the channel. You can also head over to our website, EquiPredict.com. We have a whole bunch of information over there for market forecasting, and we do send out to our readers over there an occasional quarterly and sometimes more often than that EquiPredict alert. So it's EquiPredict.com. Up on the screen here we have a chart of, it's a daily chart of PSQ. The reason why we're using PSQ is because it's a non-leveraged ETF. And we're going to be, if you've watched any of our other videos, we do like to take a look at the non-leveraged ETFs when we're taking our when we're picking our entries and triggers from the signals on these non-leveraged ETFs to go long or short into the leveraged ETFs. The reason for that is because if you're looking at the non-leveraged ETFs, you avoid the slippage that occurs in the leveraged ETFs. So just a quick synopsis on that, not to get too off track, but you are looking essentially at SQQ, but we're using PSQ as a proxy here. And so what you're going to see is here we're using a daily chart. If you watched other videos, we do like to hop through different time frames. We like to start with the monthly, work our way down to the weekly, and sometimes down to the hourly, but we're going to start right on the daily chart for SQQ and PSQ right here. And you're going to see there's a few things going on. Number one, the green line here is just a modified version of our EquiPredict model that's overlaid on PSQ. It's done a great job so far at forecasting the forecast and the turns. What we're doing is with this model, we're looking not necessarily at the magnitude. This model, our EquiPredict model, is designed to alert us to turning points on the calendar more so than the magnitude of the actual move. So percentage gains, percentage drawdowns. We're going to be looking at just the time frame. And so what you're going to see is here that right now, I think the first thing that jumped out at me when I took a look at this the other day was the fact that just as we got into August, you had over 15 million shares traded for PSQ and the Nasdaq essentially on this particular day. I think this was August 4th or August 5th. That's pretty high volume, but this, today we had a pretty emotional down bar day, but what we're going to see is that on this particular day, we only had less than a third of the volume that occurred at that topping pattern back here in August. So I wouldn't put much weight into kind of further downside ahead in SQQ. I think you still got some room to run. The EquiPredict model is telling us that we're going to see potentially some pressure in SQQ down into the middle of September, only a few days away, and then a nice upthrust and potential lift and bullish price action in SQQ, which is bearish for the market going into October, and that's when it gets a little bit dicey. We like to really avoid these particular areas, and we're going to have actually 4 other forecasts, which I'll show you in just a moment, that go through some more specific action here, but they relatively all agree that we're going to be seeing sort of a lift upwards in SQQ, and that you should be looking to exit or take your profits in SQQ by the early October. And so we'll kind of go through all these and kind of determine when you should be looking to sell your SQQ shares. And so this is the first of the forecasts, and what you should understand when you're looking at this is that the model that the EquiPredict model that we've overlaid here, what you're going to see in that sort of that yellow zone here was actually not known when the forecast was made. This is a forecast going back to May 26th. So basically, all the data that you see here in the yellow area was not included in this particular forecast. So it's just basically using the data back here, which is why this was just so perfect coming down. But you can see that the model doesn't always call it accurately. There was a lift here going, obviously into June, but SQQ fell at that particular time. So it doesn't always line up perfectly, but ever since early July there, it really has been working its way very well and predicting perfectly on that particular forecast. And so we're going to hop over to forecast number 2, and you're going to see some of the data's changed a little bit in terms of what was used. And again, you can see that the difference between these two is slight, but you're still seeing that agreement going into October that there is potentially more lift up in SQQ going into October. And so that's just something to keep in mind. And again, just to reiterate that when this forecast was made on July 31st, that the data back here was used in the forecast. However, what was not known was what was ahead. and again, it's done a great job of keeping pace with that. Again, this is that sort of agreement on the first and the second forecast that agrees with the first forecast, that we potentially are going to see some more lift in SQQ. Going to the third forecast, this is the most recent forecast here. Again, I'll just kind of hop through so you can see the difference in the three of them. This is the first one using the data, again, only before May 26th. This is the data using only the data, excuse me, this is the forecast using the data only before July 31st, and this is the data going back all through since April here, going all the way, or May here, going to today. So this is the forecast that was made today, and again, you're still getting a potential dip in SQQ going here, but you're still getting that sort of agreement in the rise. And then this is a completely separate forecast that we did, that's using a completely different model, and this also has the agreement in place. And you can see that again, not every forecast works out perfectly, but this forecast here, using the data from before July 14th, forecasted this would see a rise. It did not call this sort of down, this drawdown in SQQ from August 5th to a couple weeks later, but it has done a good job at sort of keeping pace and telling us where SQQ is likely to head. So I'd be looking to really consider getting out of your short positions in SQQ sometime in the first week of October. Could you hold on to it a little longer? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a possibility that it could continue to rise, but there's just so much so much pressure on SQQ, and so much bullish action that typically sets in, especially after October, the last week of October, something like 11 or 12 years straight. In the last week of October into December, the Nasdaq has gone up, has risen in value. So you definitely want to be avoiding going short the market as we enter into mid-October. So I hope this forecast helps you in your trading going forward. Do be careful out there, and happy trading.